If you bought a Marine AFC season ticket for the 2024-25 season and you bought that before the 1st of July 2024, keep listening to this podcast to see if you have won one of 3 great prizes in our special draw for season ticket holders.
So welcome to episode 3 of the Marine AFC podcast. My name's Adam and joined by Stuart and Ben, and we are also joined by the big dog, CEO, Mr. James Leary. How are you, sir?
I'm good, thanks. You guys?
We're gnawing at the bit to get back.
We are. Very exciting.
Would you agree?
Yep, absolutely.
It was first training session tonight, so I think that's the first bit of excitement started, and then we'll see how we go next few weeks as we get towards the season.
Well, I saw you 15 minutes ago. What were you doing when I saw you?
Oh, pumping up balls. Unfortunately, the kitman's on holiday, so the job had to fall to somebody.
I spoke to a couple of players and they said, "Where are the balls?" First question. Where are the National League balls?
They haven't
James?
arrived. We don't know why. I need to find out from Richard afterwards. But yeah, the challenges of non-league football,
Oh, so it's different balls for National League North?
Different balls. So last year it was like Creso balls. The players used to complain because they're ridiculously heavy, whereas now gone to New Balance balls. So be another bit of improvement for next year.
Lighter?
Yeah.
Right.
Get all the gossip here.
We'll be losing more of them over the fence then.
You've also got a committee meeting in an hour or so. So what's on the agenda? What can we expect?
What's on the agenda? So basically there's 9 on the committee. Everyone's got their own areas of responsibility. So you've got Peter McCormack in charge of operations, so everything from the stewards, the relationship with the police, things that happen on match day. Myself in terms of more strategic things like the ground. And so Becky would ticket office, ticket in shop. So just as we approach the new season, everyone basically talks through their areas, what we're doing, what we need to do. And if there's any issues, then people raise them. So we had a good productive couple of hours normally.
Is that how long they normally are, or is it because it's a new season, it's going to be longer?
No, it's always starts at 7:30. Normally it's done by 9:30, depending on if there's somebody on the meeting that tends to go on, and normally it's me, to be fair. So.
Fair enough. Well, we're going to talk about a few things, mostly to do with the season ahead, but just to recap on what we've just witnessed, it was a roller coaster. How would you describe your specific emotions with a cup run, a cup win, and a playoff win?
I think different emotions. I think the win at Macclesfield. We put together a plan 5 years ago that was all about growing the club in every single area, whether it be the academy, obviously the launch of a women's team, revenues with the transformation of the bars. We got the look of the draw against Tottenham, and sort of everything built up. We also wanted to, at the time we were in step 4, so we wanted to push back up to where we felt we could compete, which was always step 2. When we were in step 3, we were looking ahead thinking, can we get to step 2? And obviously it was a big step backward to be relegated. But I think the plan was always, can we eventually get back to step 2? The 5-year plan included that. But, to do that in that last year of the 5 years and win at Macclesfield just felt like everything that we've achieved over the last few years had come to that conclusion really, and got rounded off in an unbelievable way that we're now in a position as a football club that we've never been at in terms of a National League football team. So I think that the Macclesfield game was an emotional moment really, because as I say, all the work that everyone's put in over a long period of time really just came to fruition. The FA Cup run was fantastic for different reasons. You look at the giant killing against Halifax away, and it was such a great day to take that many fans over to Halifax and go and beat them on their own turf, when not many people gave us a chance, apart from probably Marine fans who know that as underdogs in big games, we keep doing it time and time again. I think it's something like 17 or 18 wins now against higher league opposition in the cup competitions for Neil since he came in. So he's got an unbelievable record. He seems to assemble squads that time and time again keep doing it. He likes to play in a certain way. He prepares unbelievably for every single game, but especially the cup games, and obviously it paid dividends. So that was an incredible moment. That was just after Dave Witherspoon passed away as well. So he was sort of I was called him a second father to me, all my life. So that was an emotional moment, and when Doyley and I think it was Jake brought the flag on at the end. So yeah, we've had some great highlights this season, all for different reasons really. And as I say, it was just another great season for ups, downs, highs, lows, problems, fantastic moments in the season, and yeah, we go again next year.
You couldn't have segued it any more perfectly. It's because I was going to ask you your low light and your highlight. Taking Macclesfield out the equation, what was your season?
Low light, Hyde. Probably Hyde at home was grim. In fact, I take that back. St Ives away was even lower. I think just because that journey back it was pretty pretty gruesome. So yeah, they were the two lows, and then the highs was aside from Macclesfield. Oof.
Did you go to Morpeth?
No, I didn't go to Morpeth. I was away with work, which was
that one.
That was exactly that. What horrendous day that was. So yeah, highlights apart from Macclesfield. I think what I really enjoyed the Ashton away game, just cementing that position. Really, I just think it was a really good way to end the season and go into the playoffs full of confidence.
Yep. You got anything to add, Stu?
Well, no. I mean, I think those are great highlights and lowlights. Good selection. In terms of, I mean, the after party after the Macclesfield game, I mean, it was just amazing. It's fantastic. But how does that sort of sit among the other ones in your years?
It was brilliant.
Just that moment of celebration.
Everyone wants that celebration, and the whole evening afterwards. You can't plan anything because you just can't tempt fate. You just can't do it. So all the cup games we've had, it's all spontaneous. Massive celebrations on the pitch. The commentator or the PA man shouts out, "Don't run on the pitch." Everyone runs on, which is fantastic. Everyone's celebrating with the players going up in the air. Champagne going everywhere. It was just a fantastic moment. And then you get the bus back. The amount of stories of from the 1,250 people coming back and cars peeping horns at each other. It doesn't really happen with Marine. It happens with Everton, Liverpool when after big games, big wins, but it just doesn't happen with Marine. So for it to happen to us was brilliant. And then we get back to the club. There's probably, I don't know, was it 500, 600 people stood outside the club massive. In the car park when we got back. And it's just such an emotional moment when you see everyone gets off the bus, non-stop singing. Everyone goes in the in the lounge and the function room. Rich Cowderoy, the goalkeeping coach, decides to get his his microphone out and starts karaoke, and then just singing all night. Really, all players, management team. So yeah, it'll live long in the memory. It's one of them nights you just don't want to end. Really, you just want it to carry on, but you get to a certain number of beers, so you think that's me time up.
And of course, during the big FA Cup run, that just couldn't happen during COVID, right? So
yeah, exactly, and that was
makes
one
extra special that we can do it again.
100%, yeah, and it's not just the players and the management team; it's the fans as well. The fact that that was one of the big achievements that we did when the fans could be there and to go to Macclesfield in the numbers that we did. It was just absolutely incredible. So that as I say, that felt to me, that Macclesfield game, the biggest game I think in our history, just in terms of what it meant, the promotion to a league we've never played in before, and how hopefully that'll keep the momentum going long term. You look at everything we've done 5 years, it's like, well, what's the next stage? And it's been crucial. I think momentum's the key word. You look at when we go back to when we beat Workington in the playoffs, if we literally won by the skin of our teeth with Kenji with that last 97th minute equaliser. You look and think, does the momentum stop if we don't go up that year? Then you look following year, we did okay. This year we had a good FA Cup run, I've got promoted again. So what we've kept doing over the last 5 years through the performance of the lads and the work that Neil and the management team have done, it just kept that momentum going on the pitch, and that's allowed us to keep building the club off the pitch, and now the key is just to keep trying to achieve that momentum on the pitch, by hopefully assembling a really good squad this year, having a good season, keeping that momentum going. We've announced now about the potential for the ground move that I'm sure you'll come on to further down. But we've announced that, and again, that's another thing that people starting to ask, how far can Marine go? Well, we're doing everything we can on the pitch to progress, and to match that, we're doing everything we can off the pitch to progress as well. Through, as I say, like all the work we're doing in the stadium at the moment, through all the work that we're doing in terms of looking for the new grounds as well, and so it's all about that M word, really, and keeping momentum.
It's the one thing you can't buy. Is momentum. It's so valuable. If you've got it, you don't want to let go of it.
Yeah, you get into that habit of winning. That's what everyone around the club's got. I say, from the fans to to everybody involved, and that's brilliant. And it brings a challenge as well, because when you don't get that big success, or you get a few bad results, all of a sudden a bit of negativity or frustration creeps in, which you understand. When people get used to winning, you get a feel for it and you want it to keep going. So I'd say that's what we've got to keep doing. That's our job as a football club now. Keep doing what we're doing on the pitch and trying to compete as well as we can within a really tough environment, and off the pitch keep trying to progress as much as we can as well.
Yes. So you spoke about momentum. It's all about, the season's gone now, it's all about getting ready. Radcliffe won the league comfortably. They had weeks to prepare, and we had to wait until probably the 8th of May until we knew we were getting promoted. How does that affect a club planning for entering the National League North? Like, what kind of preparations have surprised you?
On or off the pitch?
Off the pitch.
Off the pitch. Yeah, I mean, look at friendlies as one example. People are saying, rightly so, probably it's the worst friendly list we've ever had, and that's I'll hold my hands up to that. In my defence, we had 3 games against National League North opposition, and then all of a sudden we get promoted.
You can't have them,
and we can't play them. They had to get cancelled. So then I contacted pretty much more than half a dozen, probably about 9 or 10 National League clubs to see if we could get friendlies from the league above. Contacted Halifax, York City, who else did we contact? Altrincham. And every single club had the same response, that basically theirs was already finalised, because obviously you're in the middle of May then. So that was one of the main issues, really, friendlies, especially the impacts from people see visibly. But as I say, that's the challenge we wanted, really, from getting promoted. And and then attention just turns to the planning for next season. Looking at budgets, how much you can give the manager. We already had the conversation about 8 weeks before with the manager to say, if we were to be successful, what budget do you want? He tweaked that slightly once we'd actually got promoted, so we had to have an internal discussion to see if we could do anything else. So yeah, it brought its challenges, but they're the challenges you want to face at the end of the day.
Yeah, happy challenges.
And it's a new league, so there's a lot of people you don't know, right? You don't know the people in the clubs, you don't know the people who run the league. Actually, you might know one or two, but it must just feel like a bit of a blank slate, really.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at a lot of the teams in the league, I haven't counted them, but a lot of them we've played, in the MPL in Step 3, the likes of the Scarboroughs, Darlington win it for a period, and you find that not a lot of non-league clubs, the people are relatively consistent. We've got obviously the clubs like the Radcliffes who've gone up with us, so there's probably a good half the teams at least we probably do know the people from. I've tried to do a lot of benchmarking against other clubs in terms of what they're spending. Sometimes people aren't completely open in terms of what they're doing, but it just allows you to give benchmarks to see where you are, to see how competitive, I say, we can be, and try and help Neil as much as we can.
One thing, like you mentioned about like fans potentially getting a little bit miffed at like pre-season friendlies, which is a good challenge. Like it couldn't have happened any other way, and you lost those National League North friendlies. But one thing fans are always frantic to find out about off-season is like player retention. So how did the final affect that process? Because again, it was delayed until you knew what was happening, and then obviously players want to go, some people want to stay.
I mean, from our perspective, I mean, we probably lost most of the players we thought we hoped we would keep by going up. Freddie Sass, we wanted to keep Freddie. We offered to have a new contract to re-engage him. He chose that he wanted full-time football, which is fair enough if that's what you want to do, and go down to live in Kings Lynn. So, Finn Sinclair Smith, obviously another one we wanted to keep hold of. But at the end of the day, every player makes the choice. Neil, over the last 5 years, has consistently re-energised, reinvigorated, and changed squads every single summer, and this summer will be no different. So the people that want to play for Marine, the people who have signed, have done that, and then we move on and look elsewhere, really, to fill in and build a team that plays the way Neil wants to play. Neil has got a certain way he wants to play this year that he thinks will help us be as competitive as possible, and it's about recruiting to that style, if you like. And that's what he's trying to do. Yeah,
the amount of players that left last season was mammoth, and you saw what happened last season. And a lot of players that were so successful even came in during the middle of the season as well, like January, February, they were key.
Yeah.
So it's not that August it's set in stone, is it?
Yeah, exactly. The only player we knew that would leave was Sol, and fair play to him. He said to us 12 months ago, he wanted to go and play in the Football League. He's got the talent, he's got the ability. And now Tranmere announced yesterday that he's signed for them. So yeah, hopefully he'll go on and do really well. And that's what, if you look at how Neil's recruited, it's been about bringing in young players, giving them a chance really. And Sol's a perfect example of, by coming to Marine, how it can really help springboard you really to the Football League.
And we get a little cheddar cheese from that as well, maybe that transfer, maybe?
Not yet, but I'm hoping at some stage it'll be...
it'll come in the post.
It'll be agreed, yeah. Hopefully more than cheddar cheese, anyway.
We just spoke about players leave for pastures new, and that's just the world of non-league, and fresh blood comes in and they're eager to make their mark. As we're recording, I think 4 players have joined, as well as the people that have retained. How does promotion make it easier or harder to get the players that Neil wanted?
I think it's 6 now. I think we've snuck up to 6 of new players. But I think it's different. I mean, Neil's probably a better person to ask in terms of it, but we're obviously, if you go back a few years, we were fighting in a pool with a lot of clubs around the Step 4 level. You can attract a certain type of player. Neil, if you look at the FA Cup run, that was when we were in Step 4, and he recruited a team that he thought would help us be successful at that level, and it was a really effective team, the likes of the Alex Doyles, the James Barragans, the Motores, Neil Kenji, and that's what you try to do. And then you move up the leagues and you're competing, I guess, with a different type of opponent. Really, you're competing with the likes of the Chesters, the Chorleys, the Cares and Ashtons, the Northwest Step 2 clubs. Really, some of them have got bigger, deeper pockets than we have. Rich benefactors who are putting a lot of cash into it. So it's just a complete different challenge. But Neil is absolutely structured in terms of how he goes after players. He doesn't pay more for players than he thinks they're worth. He has a certain structure of how much wages he offers, and he just doesn't go outside of that. And I know that some people see and think, can you give him an extra £100 a week, an extra £200 a week, whatever it is, to keep him? But Neil's quite adamant that if there's a player that he thinks is worth a certain value, then he will offer that certain value, and it's up to the player if he stays, and if not, then that's that choice, and we move on and find alternatives.
Yeah. A phrase that resonated for me personally on social media last season was trust the process. And I was just as guilty as trying to put that into Twitter comments as much as anyone. And we've released most of the team, or some people have gone through pre-season. Last season, we didn't even have a named goalkeeper during pre-season. And this season, at the moment, that's the same way. How important is it that fans have that same trust this year as well?
Yeah, I'd like to think, I say we've got a great fan base now, so many passionate fans. You see it every day when you come down, even now in the off-season, people coming down asking what's going on. So, we've got a fan base now, and a few years ago, I think people might have been concerned. I'd like to think now that everybody was on board in terms of how Neil works, how Neil operates. When we haven't signed as many players up to now, going into the first night in pre-season, as some people might have liked. That Neil has got a plan. There's players that he wants to bring in. There's a few players here tonight that we haven't announced, but who I'm sure will sign for us. A few players he's looking at on a trial basis. There's players who have gone to EFL clubs on trial, or National League clubs, that the chances are, they've only gone there on trial. They might not keep them, and then we know that we've got a chance of getting them afterwards. So it's all about, for Neil, getting the right players in at the right time, and not rushing into getting players that might not be right for us, but just waiting and picking the players at the right moments.
Yeah, and the goalkeeper one's instructive, right? Because 12 months ago, just before the pre-season friendlies, everybody was saying, we haven't got a goalkeeper, we had 3 different goalkeepers in that season, right? And they were all great in their different ways. So, that just illustrates that you could have a squad lined up from word go, but it's very unlikely to look like that by the end of the season. And yeah, trust the process, I think, at this level is an important phrase, really.
Yeah, that's right. And sometimes, if a squad's built in a set way, which was the case last season, even after the game against Hyde, and I mentioned before about one of the possible lowlights, I met Neil in a coffee shop a couple of days after the game, and Neil said to me, he said, I know about the score, but he said, I just don't think we're that far away. He said, I know it was bleak, the game. And, we made a couple of tweaks, brought in Bobby Grant, Jack Bainbridge not far after, Freddie Sass, Matty Waters. But them tweaks at the fullbacks, bringing in number 9, it just completely transformed us really to the end of the season. So yeah, I'll say he recruits a certain way. He's a top manager, and yeah, can't wait to get started.
Yeah, we'll undrill youth and players for now. Yeah. We'll move on to where we're sat. We're in the stadium, we're in the MTA. Are you able to give any kind of update on any kind of improvements that's currently taking place in the pre-season? Because last we spoke to you, planning permissions for various things were sort of pending.
Yeah, we're just waiting. It's been slightly frustrating just how long planning applications take. They're literally all in, just waiting for the council to approve them. Hopefully they'll come through in the next few weeks. We've got a stand at the far end of the ground. We actually got planning permission for that about probably 11-12 years ago. We were looking to put a covered terrace in there last year. We mentioned it at Fans Forum. But now that we've gone up, we need to try and get to 500 seats. So that's what that'll do. So that'll be a good addition at the far end. Give extra cover for everybody, additional seats. We've got planning permission for coming in hopefully for TV gantry as well. Part of the requirements of being more professional as a National League club. We want a better viewing area for the camera with the halfway line rather than just behind the stand. So from Neil's perspective, in terms of analysis, it'll be a massive improvement. Plus also from a highlights perspective, rather than using the VO, it'll allow us to film and be better, hopefully better quality. We've got a community hub that's going to go in the corner of the pitch. So that's during the week is going to be a community activity centre. So I have everything from activity classes for the over 50s. Might be Zumba,
fight clubs,
yoga. Exactly, yeah. For the under 16s, it'll be a classroom. So we'll have tons of activities through Marine Community during the week. But then on a match day, it's going to double up as a bar. So we'll give extra opportunity to reduce queues inside the stadium, which will be good. We're also looking to put another bar at the far end with more pumps to again reduce the queues on a match day. And then there's one more plan permission that has just slipped off my mind, but we have done, which scoreboard. Yeah, so McCallum and Tritton, funeral directors, based in Waterloo, absolute top guy, Andy Stones, who runs it. He's basically funded the scoreboard completely. So that we're just again waiting for planning permission on that. Hopefully we'll get the next couple of weeks and it'll go straight in. So all of them, touch wood, will be installed there or thereabouts at the start of the season. But I say it just depends on when we get the permission. Yeah. And hopefully it'll look a really good improvement.
So all of that potentially by the start of the season. That would
it's literally we're literally going to go for them as soon as we get planning permission. Yeah. So yeah, if it's not the start of the season, then hopefully it'll be soon after. But as I say, it'd be nice to go into the first home game of the season, whether that's the Saturday or the Tuesday, with the ground looking a different place and a more professional outfit than before.
So you'd like an away Saturday to start with? To give you an extra 2 days.
Maybe. Let's see.
Can't be as bad as the other season when there was no pitch. Yeah. When the 3G pitch didn't go in.
That's true, yeah.
And there was a panic to get enough grass seed down to fix it.
Before my time.
It's before your time, yeah.
Imagine, needs to mark it away, might be a close second, so...
We've talked about wages slightly. So promotion comes at a cost, literally, and that can happen with high wages. It can be longer coach trips. And you've just talked about the stadium and the infrastructure. How do you manage to balance that as we step into the unknown, considering the fact that we haven't been there for so long, even at all? Like, how do you balance all that together?
There are unknowns. I mean, we and you've just got to guess the best you can. You've got to, have a look at. Obviously, we did a lot of work in terms of benchmarking ticket prices. I think there's a few increases of revenue, and to sum it up, there's the ticket prices. Dave McMillan did the benchmarking exercise, looked at every club in National League North, what were they charging. We're going in at £15, which is the average. You get, for being in National League North, you get £30,000. So we got zero, and you get zero in step 3 or below. For being in step 2, you get £30,000. That goes up to £100,000 in step 1, the National League, and then £1.6 million in League 2 of the EFL. And this is why there's a big, clamour for all these people putting money in, because they want to basically get as high as they can to get the big bucks, really, and that's why it's more of a challenge. So, but in terms of us, we get 30 grand for National North. I say we get the increase in the gate receipts that we'll see. Season tickets have gone up slightly as well from where they were. You'd like to think that we'll get some commercial benefit so far. Dave Thompson, our main sponsor and vice chairman, he's made a big donation in addition to his sponsorship to help us be more competitive. So he's been unbelievable support. So we've got them increasing in income, which ultimately is to help, as you say, the increased travel costs, but more importantly, trying to give Neil the best competitive squad that we possibly can. But even doing that, to show how competitive the level is, we're still probably bottom 6 or 7 in terms of the wage budgets in the league. So, and that's where I say we need to do things in a certain way to be competitive. But I mean, you're looking at the level we're looking at, and clubs are losing, whereas clubs in step 3 are more sustainable and break even. Clubs in step 2, there's clubs losing, and not just 1 or 2. The majority losing 100, 150, 200, 250,000 pounds a year. And the majority are losing money. We try to be sustainable. We're looking to break even next year, despite the increased costs that we've got. But I'd say it is a challenge in that level, but that's a challenge that everything we've built over the last few years in terms of the bars, the increase in revenue, the support from Dave Thompson, it'll just allow us to be as competitive as possible. And this is where, in terms of the fans are being great. We did the kit launch yesterday. The last 2 days has just been unbelievable. The amount of orders that's being placed is far exceeded anything that's ever happened to Marine for in its history in terms of sales of 2 days. So the fans are behind us as well. Every day you come down and you see fans having food at the bistro or having a pint. Everyone's behind us, and that's what we need really to keep happening for us to be as competitive as possible on the pitch.
Yeah, you mentioned the season ticket price. I think it was quite largely positively embraced by the fans. They knew with promotion comes a sacrifice in terms of that increase. But it's also one of the lowest ticket prices in the league in terms of a season ticket, as far as I can see, maybe even like top 5. How vital is it for non-league clubs to get those kind of season ticket sales early as possible, as opposed to, I'll think about it and I'll do it a week into the season?
For us, it's not so much about getting the money in early. I mean, some clubs do try early bird schemes. For us, I wouldn't like to put pressure on a fan to feel that they have to buy in May or June, to get 20 quid or 30 quid off. If their finances, they would rather, pay it in July or early August, and they feel pressured into doing it early to get a bit off. So I'm whether a fan wants to buy in May, June, July, August, September, whatever it is, whatever suits the fan, then fantastic. And the more flexible we can be, then great. I just don't see a need to force people to bite early, if you like.
Yeah. One thing that is brand new to the club is the booster budget launch, which I suggested in the spring forum, by the way, just so you know. I'm sure people, it was on people's minds anyway. But can you give fans more context on why you feel it's required this season and how sizable an impact it can have on the season?
I think going to into the new league, there's other clubs that you've seen do similar schemes. You think about from a members club, from a fan-owned club. What's the best way as you move up the leagues to try and be as competitive as possible? And it's a difficult question to answer. We went through the Tottenham run, our revenues increased a lot, so we had a wage budget that was probably about, I would guess, 6th or 7th in the league last year, maybe slightly lower, but I'd guess about 6th or 7th. So we would never ask fans for money, because you don't need to. It's up to us then. We've built the club up to be able to put a competitive squad together for Neil to go and push to try and get promoted. So that's where that was. But then you move into step 2, and it's a completely different animal, completely different board game. And we could have done nothing, and let's just give Neil a lower playing budget, and we'll see what happens. But we spent 20 odd years in step 3 trying to get to or step 4 trying to get towards step 2, and I do not want to, having got to step 2, then risk and be worried about getting relegated. That it's as simple as that. With all the momentum that's going on off the field, with the new ground potential, we need as many fans coming to the game as possible. We need to be as competitive as possible, and the only way to be as competitive as possible is to increase the budget to as much as we possibly can. So I just felt that now is a good chance. to basically offer a booster budget scheme for fans, if they could or if they can, with absolutely no pressure on anybody, donate to the scheme to help us be more competitive and give Neil a stronger playing budget. And we've had so far about 65 donations, and about £6,000-7,000 so far. So it's made a really positive difference. I thank everybody who has donated towards it. And I'm glad we did it. I know that there were certain elements to the way we launched it that could have been slightly different. We only offered one amount at the start, and we've changed that since to offer a few different options. But I think it was the right thing to do at the right time to help us be as competitive in what is going to be a hell of a tough league.
Yeah.
And on attendances, our attendances last season in the league we were in were really, really healthy, really up there among the highest. But there's still a bit of capacity in the ground. We can go higher, right? So what difference would it make to the budget between 1,200 average attendance, say, and if it went up to 1,007, 1,008, would that make a crucial difference, those kind of numbers?
Yeah, we have assumed in the budget for next season, the break-even budget, we've assumed an increase, hoping that we'll get a bit of extra home support and also, obviously, better travelling support as well when you've got the likes of Scunthorpe and Chester and the like coming. So, yeah, it makes a really positive difference.
Because there's, I think one of our two biggest games, I think they came within a month of each other, and on Tuesday nights. It's like we had FC United and I think Radcliffe, Macclesfield all on Tuesday nights. I assume Saturdays are more attractive.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting this year because you've got like Chester. Chester's one of the closest teams. When do you want to play Chester? Well, ideally you want it on a Saturday at home and it'd be pretty much a full house. Warrington Town the same. But when how the fixture's going to fall. Chorley's another one historically. Back in the Dave Mack always harps on about the 70s and the 80s when there used to be big foes with Chorley. It's a big game. So Scunthorpe United, if you get them on a Tuesday night, will they travel over in the same numbers as they would a Saturday? So it makes a big difference how the fixtures fall. But I think if we can try and get towards 2,000, if everyone can tell the mate and anybody else to try and get down and support us next year, and we can try and get to a close to 2,000 average, 100% it will make an absolute massive difference to everything really. Hopefully more support on the pitch to better revenues off it to help us, as I say, be more competitive.
You heard James. If you've got a mate, which is unlikely, tell them, because we want you here. We're on to the favourite portion. This is the final portion. I would be slaughtered if I didn't ask about new stadium plans. And I know you can hardly tell me anything. Is there any progress you can give us?
Is there progress? There is progress. I can tell you that. We basically, one of the reasons that I wanted to announce it at the time was probably twofold. One was that there were more and more questions asking how far can we go as a club, what the plans, how ambitious are you and all stuff like that, and people knew that we were limited with this ground, and that was absolutely key. But the other thing was that I was getting frustrated with certain elements of things we were doing in terms of trying to get it over the line that weren't happening quick enough, and I just felt that if we went public about it, which we did, then it might help accelerate a few things. So I think it's made people see, a few of the parties we were talking to, how serious we are about it, and that there has been progress. We were working on it for 2 years before we announced it. It was a long, painful process. My dad has put, I don't know how he does it, unbelievable amount of hours in, supporting, helping. Dave Mack as well. So we've been working at it for a long time. There's been that many frustrations, sites that we thought were perfect that we couldn't have, or other sites that we thought we were going to get, and then all of a sudden then we were told we couldn't have. So there's been loads of frustrations. Obviously you've got the planning element to it as well. Again, sites where you think, is that a possibility, and then they get ruled out. And over the course of that 2 years, we went from over 20 sites initially down to just a couple of sites now, really, and now we are at the end journey in terms of securing that site. But the end journey sounds close, and there's bound to be complications. But as I say, they're at 100% since we've announced it. There has been progress. We're closer now than we've ever been to before in terms of securing a site, and hopefully within a few months, he says, crossing his fingers, that will be finalised, and then we can get into the next stage, which is planning.
Stuart shooting me a look. I think he wants to press you further on this.
Well, no, I mean, nothing that hasn't already been said, but just to confirm, it is definitely L23 that we're talking about.
It is definitely L23.
So it's definitely L23.
If I had a pound, last year the most common question is when are we going to sign a goalkeeper? If I had a pound this time, what's the postcode, or is it L23 or what site is it?
Yeah, just to put some of the mad ones to bed that aren't happening. Yeah. So it's not Victoria Park.
It's not Victoria Park.
No, that's my favourite.
Yeah. I mean,
I've been told not to rule out any sites because you rule out a site as a joke, and then people sort of cross them off the list and think, hang on a second.
That's my question gone. I was going to say, obviously you can't tell us where it is, but can you tell us where it isn't?
It isn't outside of L23.
Is it in Goodison Park?
It's not Goodison.
Have we got a ground show? Probably more.
Yeah, last time I checked, Goodison Park is not L23.
So yeah, as you were talking about pre-season and we talk about fixtures, that hopefully when this comes out, the fixtures have just been announced, something around this time. Who do you want to see first? Who do you want to see last? Where do you want to be?
Well, we've agreed pairings with Southport and with Warrington Town. So the 4 bank holiday days, Easter, Christmas, New Year, that'll be all split between them teams, assuming the FA agree, and that gets done. Who do I want first game? Oh, I want a home game. Start off at home. Who do I want to play? Scunthorpe United at home. Peter McCall, safety officer, wouldn't be happy with that, but I quite fancy that one. Yeah. So yeah, but to be honest, it is what it is, isn't it? You take who you get and plan accordingly, really.
So when you get the fixtures, is that it just set, or do you get a draft and you can appeal any of them or ask for?
No, you get a few hours. You get a few hours of notice where you're not allowed to basically tell anybody. But basically, when you get the fixtures, you get months in advance. You get a chance to basically pick and choose pairings for certain times, and that's basically it. You also get a chance to give certain exceptions for certain games. So, for example, I think when we have a Aintree Grand National, Rich blocks us out for a home game because every time historically we had a home game on Grand National Day, the attendance was absolutely terrible. So yeah. But apart from that, I think it's pretty much given. Fixtures are given to you.
Okay, and we'll give the final bit to you. So we've got, what would you tell a typical fan about last season, pre-season, the season up ahead? Like, what would you tell that typical fan?
About last season, this season, and
yeah, just what would you sort of communicate to them about what they've seen and what they're about to see?
I think they've seen a good, honest group of lads last season who did everything they can to try and do as well for the football club as they possibly could, and that obviously led to an unbelievable FA Cup run and ultimately promotion. And now, we've gone through another period of transition. We've had players leave the club, some by Neil's choice, some by the players' choice themselves. And now we're in a new phase with a new set of players, and ultimately they will be exactly the same in terms of mentality as the previous. They'll be absolutely committed to Marine Football Club, and we'll give it a good go to be as successful as we can and finish as high as we can up that National League North table.
Thank you very much, James. So just to end this podcast, we have the winners of the prize draw. So to be entered into the prize draw, just remember that before the 1st of July, you have to have purchased a season ticket for Marine, and if you did so, you were automatically entered into a prize draw. We have 3 prizes up for grabs, and here are the winners. So for the meal at the bistro for 4 people, the winner is Jean-Pierre Hall, and the home shirt, the winner is Jan Benz. And for the friendly games, where you get access to all the home friendlies free of charge, the winner was Mark Wilcock. So well done to you 3.